Ooh, that sounded nice. Welcome back to Sippin With Sin, the podcast about stuff and stuff that are important to everybody all across the world. It is the number one podcast of such and things. It is proven by people far, far smarter than ourselves. Scientists, experts, philosophers, whatever. Number one podcast. Accept it in your heart of hearts, soul of souls, because it is the gospel, it is the truth, and it's damn true. It's damn true. Welcome back, though. Another week, another episode. We got a fun one for you guys this week. So without further ado, let's welcome back our esteemed colleague, the one, the only, the dreadlock himself, Mr. Christian.
Thank you. Feels good to be back for another episode. I can't wait to get into what we have to talk about today.
And we're going to talk about hubcaps. Today's episode is all about hubcaps.
Hubcaps.
Sponsored by hubcaps.com. No. Okay. What we like to do to start every episode is talk about what we've been watching, reading, listening to, or playing this past week. Christian, you went last week, so to hell with you. I guess I'm going to start and try to remember what I've done. So, a couple of things that we're going to talk about in this episode, I've watched. So, I will not talk about them now. I will save my notes for then. But, one thing I haven't talked about, and I feel like I'm about to catch some shit about, is I started Shogun. I've officially started Shogun. I had plans to watch Night Swim and other stuff, but I didn't get around to it. It's very hard with a toddler and time. But I watched Shogun. And I have to say, I'm having trouble right now in it. I'm about 3 episodes. I dozed off twice already.
Good God.
It's just starting slow. Like, the action's been good, and it's good what I've seen. It's starting slow. And the fact that I'm having to stay so focused on the episode because of all the stuff in the subtitles, it's messing me up. But to be fair, I am very busy. I watch my son all day, so I get all kinds of, like, Bluey and Spider-Man and Sonic and everything else. And then when it's, like, time for my show, most of the time I'm exhausted because if I'm not watching him, I'm doing stream stuff. So, what I've seen is pretty good. Like, I'm about 3 episodes, like I said, in. I do not know the actor's name, but he's in every samurai movie, I feel like, ever. And he's one of the main characters, and I love him. And the fact that he's in it makes me happy. Do you know his name? Do you know what I'm talking about right away?
I know
wasn't
exactly
he Hanzo in Mortal Kombat?
He was Scorpion in Mortal Kombat.
He was
in the new one.
No, he was not in Godzilla, I don't think. Or he might have been.
Was not. He was... No, he wasn't in Godzilla.
Okay. He was in Last Samurai, though, which is a fantastic movie.
He was in Wolverine, not Origins, but what's it called? The Wolverine, the one where he goes to Japan. He was in that.
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate on the phone or the show. I think it's gonna be good. It's just definitely the first episode was a lot slower. To me, I'm getting a Samurai Game of Thrones vibe. I'm getting a lot
That's
of
exactly what it is.
Political, like that kind of stuff. You know, like treachery. Playing the game, trying to take charge, getting the power, people stabbing people in the back.
Hiroyuki Sanada, that's his name. Hiroyuki Sanada.
Dude, he's awesome. I love him.
Yeah, he's in.
So when I saw him, and I was like, okay,
in everything. He's in.
Yes, he really.
Last Samurai, like you said, he's in 47 Ronin, John Wick Chapter 4, Mortal Kombat. He was in Bullet Train. He was in Rush Hour 3, which is the first thing I think I saw him in. The Wolverine, like I said, he was in The Ring from 1998. He was in. There was like 2 more things that I had in my head that he was in. He was in Lost. He was on.
Oh God, don't tell Mrs. in that. I swear, every time we watch anything, she's like, "He's from Lost," and I'm like, "I didn't watch Lost. I refuse to watch Lost. I'm boycotting. I will not. I already know how it ends, and I just don't want to do it."
He's in a bunch of other stuff too that I can't think of right off the top of my head, but he's literally been in stuff since the early 80s. Like he's been in everything.
Are you caught up
in Shogun?
Yeah, is it over yet? Because I know it was 10 episodes, and
I think there are 9 episodes available. I think the last episode,
the new one.
Excuse me, I think the last episode comes out next week. But
I mean, it's good. It's just I don't know what I was expecting. It's a little more of a slow burn starting off. I know business is going to pick up for sure. But yeah, It also didn't help that I haven't felt the best this week. So when I was watching, I was
Mhm.
just kind of like comfortable and.
I am comfortably 4 episodes in, and the only reason why I haven't
But
watched
you haven't
more,
even watched all 8. You're only 4 episodes.
I haven't watched all 8 because the same as you, I work all day,
They're like an
and when
hour
I
long
get
episodes,
home,
and you have to
yeah,
pay.
when I
To
get
me, at least,
home,
you have to pay hyper attention. Where a lot of times I can like multitask and like maybe I can check Twitter real quick and still understand what's going on and hear like the stuff. This you cannot look away from the screen because of all the subtitles, all the stuff going on. So it keeps you like you have to pretty much solely focus on that. And with a 2-year
to give
old,
you
he doesn't
guys
want you to
to give you
focus
guys
if
a
it's
little
late.
backstory, like when I watch pretty much anything, I am like fully immersed in it. I'm paying attention to everything that the characters are saying, what they're doing, what they're wearing, what the cinematography is like, the soundtrack, everything. Like I'm tuned fully in. I'm looking for Easter eggs. I'm trying to figure out stuff that's gonna happen in the future. Like that's how I watch something. So when I'm watching Shogun, I do need to pay attention and do all those things. But I also have one TV currently, and I don't feel comfortable all the time being like, hey, like going to my wife and just be like, hey, can I watch the TV and watch something I know you don't want to watch right now? So like I typically watch stuff on the weekends, and that's like the 4 episodes that I watched. I burned through them because I didn't just watch like one episode and then come back next week. I watched like 3 episodes, and because I was caught up at the time, then I came back last weekend and watched another episode. But I've been super busy just in real life, outside of the podcast, outside of work on the weekends. I've been hella busy for like the last month, and it's going to continue to be that way for the next 2 months. So when I choose something to watch, I have to just be committed. And I'm also watching some other things, and I'll mention
I
when
mean,
you're
I
done
just
telling us.
started. I watched the first episode last night, which was
Mhm,
like I think an hour and 10 minutes. Like it was a pretty long
mhm,
episode, and then I watched 2 today.
mhm.
So I mean, I'm
It's
gonna
it's
catch up. But now that I
fantastic.
know I was trying to catch up to you because I didn't know how far you were. But now I know you're
Yeah,
not much farther ahead of me. It's all good. But I
yeah,
started that. Other than
yeah.
that, do you want me to talk about my trailer I watched? Did you watch this trailer
Yeah,
today?
please do, because when I watch those episodes, just last thing on that, when I watch those episodes, I try to watch two at a time, like back to back. So I watched the first two, then I watched the next two. So I'm technically on episode 5.
Okay.
I just haven't finished it yet because I was watching some other things that we'll get into. But yeah, tell me about your trailer.
It's a good show though. It's a good show. I'm just having trouble right now. Just the focus thing I think is what's getting me. Okay. So I've been first off one tiny note that I cannot wait for. Can I just say the podcast after this is probably going to be dedicated mostly to this because I'm so excited. I've waited for this for I feel like years. It was announced Godzilla Minus One is coming out on Amazon Prime May 3rd.
Yes,
And
sir.
May 3rd, I'm finally getting to watch it, and I cannot wait. I am beyond excited. I've been waiting on this. Christian's hyped it up. I've heard nothing but fantastic reviews from everybody. I haven't heard a single bad thing about it at all. So I'm excited. So the podcast after that, I'm sure I'll be taking notes, and we're gonna go heavy
Let me just
in
say
Godzilla.
this real quick. Let me say this real quick on that. If I were like mentally capable of forgoing nostalgia. If I were capable of doing that, I am not. But if I were, this would be my favorite Godzilla movie. But it's not because nostalgia will not allow me to pick this movie because I didn't grow up with it. So that just goes to show, and I'm being as honest as I can be. There are Godzilla movies that I really, really like. That I really like. One in particular that I'm thinking of right now. It's not a good movie, but I really like it. It's not Godzilla like the American one where he's running and he doesn't even look like Godzilla, and it's like with Matthew Broderick and stuff. It's not that one. Just so we're on the same page. But there are some old school Godzilla movies that I really like. This is, I think, a better movie than pretty much all of those. But like I said, due to nostalgia, I can't say that it's
I'm
my
excited for it.
favorite one.
Like
But yeah, I'm
just go
excited for
ahead
you
and
to see
write
it.
down in your notebook the episode after that. So it'd be whatever the following Thursday. We're going in.
All right,
We're
can't
going
wait.
in on it. Okay, I had to get that out of the way first because I made a note of that because I've been waiting for that. So something else I watched that, not gonna lie, it was on our radar. I think we talked about this previously too, in upcoming 2024 horror.
Mhm.
As most of you know, we've talked about In a Violent Nature is one of the movies we're both very excited for, which comes out in like a little over a month. Super excited for that. But there was another movie, and it's M. Night Shyamalan's new movie called Trap. And I was like, I like M. Night Shyamalan. I always look forward to his movies just because most of them have a pretty good twist. Like, he likes to throw you a curveball, and I appreciate that. So I dig it. Not all of them hit, and all of them are great, but I have enjoyed a lot of them. And this one stars Josh Hartnett. So immediately I was like, Josh Hartnett, M. Night Shyamalan, I'm watching. You got me. You got my attention. So we got our first trailer today, Christian. And did you see the trailer?
I still haven't seen the entire trailer. I've seen literally a piece of the trailer before I hopped online. I haven't actually watched it.
So I have some notes from the trailer. So, first off, my first note, Josh Hartnett, yes. Just all the yes. I like Josh Hartnett. I'm glad to see him back and stuff, from Penny Dreadful to his role in Oppenheimer to now getting this with Trap with M. Night Shyamalan. I'm happy to see him back. I enjoyed him in other movies, stuff from like Faculty, right? When he in the Faculty?
Yeah, Faculty. That's
Faculty, of course. Halloween H2O. Like I like Hartnett. 30 Days a Night, another great one. I liked him in that a lot. So Hartnett.
Did I tell you about my hot take on that movie, by the way?
You can just hold on a minute. You let me get through my notes before you start complaining about something. Okay. So Shyamalan's movies always have a twist, like I said. So right away, the trailer starts, and I'm like, "What? Let's see if we can already spot the twist. Like, can I figure this out quick?" I noticed an Easter egg right away. A couple months, I believe, before Trap comes out, The Watchers come out, and that is his daughter's debut movie that she's doing.
Nice.
And a nice little Easter egg in the trailer. There is a scene where you see like an overpass, and there is a sign, like a billboard up there, and it says The Watchers.
Nice.
So I thought that was pretty dope that he has like an advertisement for his daughter's movie in there. Another Easter egg, his other daughter, I'm not even going to try to say their names. His other daughter plays the pop star in this movie. I can't remember the name. It was Raven something. The pop star, and is singing the song in the trailer that they're seeing. Because essentially, Josh Hart and his daughter are going to a concert to see like this pop star. They got like tickets down close, and it's one of those big like pop concerts, right? So in the trailer, you see Hartnett being dad, awesome dad mode, got tickets down on the floor. They're down there. She's so excited, his daughter. And then he steps away to go to the bathroom and talks to one of the merchandise sellers and introduces himself. And the merchandise person tells him, essentially, he was like, "What's going on? I'm seeing all these cameras and cops everywhere. Like, what's the deal?" The dude's like, "Can't tell you, but pretty much the FBI was tipped off that the serial killer, the Butcher, would be at this event." And they quote, "This dude's cutting people up. He's like chopping people up." So he would be at this event, so the FBI are setting a trap for him. Which immediately I'm like, okay, so this will be one of the movies like, who's the killer? And with Shyamalan, he's going to throw you in every direction, so I'm already excited. But Shyamalan's like, you know what? I'm just going to just screw you up already. Because immediately, what is your first thought if you see Josh Hartnett's like, it's a Shyamalan movie, Hartnett's the killer? Like, what if he's the killer is like a twist? Like your main character ends up being the killer. Well, what happens 2 seconds later is Hartnett walks into the damn bathroom, closes the stall door, opens his phone, and there's a person tied up on his phone he's watching from a security camera, revealing he's the damn Butcher. Supposedly, allegedly, nothing is said, but it then goes to show him having like an evil stare, and it shows somebody grabbing a knife. You don't see Hartnett grab the knife, but like it's kind of alluding to Hartnett's the Butcher. He's staring off into space in the concert at one point, not listening to his daughter, like eye twitching, all this stuff. So it makes you pretty confident Hartnett's a killer, but that's very obvious for Shyamalan, so I don't know. But he could still do that and have like a twist. This is solely my speculation where like maybe the daughter's involved or something. Something weird. But essentially Hartnett is alluded to being the killer. He's in this event, and the FBI are tipped off he's there. I guess they don't know what he looks like, obviously, but they're going to be like inspecting people and patrolling people. And the trailer ends with him saying to his daughter, "It'll be a night she'll never forget. It's an unforgettable night." And at one point, the dude's like, "This shit's crazy, right?" Like the merch guy to Hartnett that the killer's there, and Hartnett's like, "Haha," and they're laughing together. And he stops laughing and just stares at him straight faced. Movie comes out August 9th. It has my full attention. I'm so excited.
That is the day before my birthday,
dude.
so that's what I'll be doing.
And I let the missus watch this trailer because her facial expressions are similar to mine. Because I was like, okay, Shyamalan trailer. Straight face, kind of just watching nonchalantly, like, all right, what is it going to be? Probably won't find out much. As soon as they said butcher serial killer, she like picks the phone up more and gets more serious, kind of like I did, because I was like, oh, wait, we have a serial killer now? And then Hartnett, I was like, Hartnett's maybe the serial killer? Oh, you have got me hook, line, and sinker. So I'm super excited for that. But yeah, that's what I've been into. And then other than that, I am eagerly awaiting the new Ghost Inside album that comes out tomorrow. Time of recording this comes out on the 19th, and I'm excited for that. But Christian, your week, what have you been into?
All right. A couple of the things that I watched.
Wait, don't you have a rant? Are we just going to avoid your rant?
I don't even remember which rant it was, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I think you were going to play about 30 Days a Night or something.
Yes, 30 Days a Night. Hot. It's not really. I mean, it's a very small rant.
Don't shit on my movie.
I rewatched that movie months ago, and my hot take is that movie is boring as fuck. I used to really like that movie, and I know now why I used to love it so much. Josh Hartnett was in it, so there was that. It had vampires in it that were just like fucking brutal, so there was that. And the other reason, what was the other reason I liked it so much? I think just because everybody around me liked it so much, and I was like, yeah, this is great. But when I watch it again, 50% of that movie is boring as hell. Then you get some vampire carnage that's boring as hell. Then you get some more vampire carnage, and then the end of the movie happens. And for those of you who haven't seen the movie for whatever reason, I won't spoil what happens at the very end. But I did really like that. I thought it was dope, and it makes you want more. But then if you've had the misfortune of watching the second movie, the sequel, it's absolute boo boo shoes. Don't waste your time. Don't do that. But yeah, I really didn't like that movie. Going back and watching it, it didn't have enough. It was like a lot of style, no substance. I like that they give you like tiny tiplets of like the lore of these vampires and their backstory a little bit. But like when you go back and watch it, nothing happens. They're just hiding out for a while, and it just kind of blows. But like I said, super hot take. Most people aren't going to agree with me. I know you're not. Totally understandable. I was like, I'm not gonna lie, up until like the beginning of this year, I thought that movie was one of the best vampire movies of all time. Then I rewatched it and I was like,
we're just gonna end the podcast now because Christian's just shitting all over everything.
Just shitting on it. But yeah, that's just me. Like I don't know. Oh, I hear a mic cut. No, I hope not anyway. But like it just wasn't doing it for me. It just this last go round, I just wasn't in it. I just wasn't in it. But that's it. That's the hot take. That's the hot take. Like I said, just for me. Back to what I've been doing this week. I'm so sorry, man. I knew it. I knew it was going to, and I apologize. But what I've been doing, some of the stuff I've seen, we'll talk about later on in the pod. But I did take our friend Jordan's advice. If you're listening, Jordan, this is all because of you. Mostly because of you, not all because of you, mostly because of you. But over the weekend, I went to go see Monkey Man, and I have some thoughts.
Okay.
I really like this movie, man. I'm not gonna lie, I really liked it. The trailers of the movie don't really do it justice because all of the trailers kind of come from like one part of the movie. All of the scenes in the trailer, I mean, come from like literally the last part of the movie, and that's only the last part. Like all the super dope John Wick stuff that they show you in the trailer, literally all pulled from the last part of the film. And that's okay. It's not bad because I was surprised when I saw it. He's only in that monkey mask, the Monkey Man mask, for like maybe 5 minutes. Like it's nothing. And it also makes sense for the story mostly. But I really like the movie. The story grabbed me. There are some elements of the story that I think will not hit for mainstream audiences. It is very rooted in Indian culture, which I actually really dug. However, like I said, mainstream watchers from here in the states, they're not going to understand some of the subject matter. They're not going to like nor understand. But if you really sit down and just give this movie a chance and just get yourself immersed in it, it's roughly 2 hours. It's really good. Today I've been struggling. Do I want to give this movie a 7.5 or, and I think I'm leaning more on the side of an 8 just because like I said, I had a lot of fun with this. It's not going to be for everyone, but the action was on point. Um Dev Patel, like, he has an eye for action. He does a lot of really cool things with the camera. He does do some shaky cam stuff that in places it looks really cool because it gets you really immersed in the action, but there's points where it like lingers a little too much. And there are some of the actors in that film who don't have necessarily the same chops as he does. So there are some weak links, but all the main characters can do what they need to do. The story is there, the music is there, and the fight scene that they show you in the trailers is way more badass in the actual movie than it is in the trailer. And there's this really dope Indian metal core band that plays in the movie. I feel like I've brought them up before, but they're called Bloodywood, and it's amazing. So that it's been a long time since I've heard a metal song played during a really intense fight scene for a movie. And as soon as it started up, I was hyped. I was so into the movie. Like, they could do no wrong at that point. So I really, really enjoyed it. The last thing I'll say, you when you see the movie Sin, because you'll eventually see it. When you see it, you will see that Dev Patel watched the Batman before and during the filming of this movie because there are so many scenes that are ripped directly from the Batman. And if you look at the trailer for this movie, you can see them in
So
the
you're saying
trailer
he's
as
heavily
well.
influenced by it.
Heavily influenced by Matt Reeves, the Batman. Heavily influenced, which is right up my alley. But like, for those of you who like may not have liked the movie for whatever reason, like, a lot of those shots are in it. There
I mean, that's
are
probably pretty
full
rare.
ass.
People that didn't like. I feel like for the most part, it was well received by everybody.
Mhm.
I
But
haven't heard
there's
too
some.
many people. I've heard a couple
Yeah,
complain about like um, Robert Pattinson a little bit and the hair
yeah. I
and
mean, I think that is a because Robert Pattinson was one of the best parts of the movie as far as like his portrayal of the character. He did his own thing with it, but it worked out for that world, for this movie. Do I want the Batman that I'm reading in comic books to be like that? Not necessarily, no. But for that movie, it was spot
I
on.
fully expect
But
him to be
back
more grown up in the second one.
same.
Like he
But
was more
going
of a
back
younger
to
year one Batman. And I fully expect in the second one he'll be more of a matured, probably hair shorter, a little more cleaned up, like
mhm,
a little more have his
more
shit
of a
together.
playboy,
Batman.
that's fair. But there are, like I said, there are full shots that are literally the exact same. There are scenes where Bruce goes to meet Falcone for the first time, and there's like that shape behind him that's lit up and the red lights behind him. That shots in the film. Any shots in the Batman that have red lights are in this movie. It's even in the poster. Like, you have in the poster for the Batman, a lot of the art, it's like the red lettering for the Batman, and then he's obviously all blacked out and in shadows. A lot of that is in this movie. A lot of that's in the artwork. A lot of that is in the promotional art. It's there. Like I said, definitely influenced by the Batman, but in the best ways. It's really well done. And I'm super excited to see what he does next. Like I said, I think I want to give this movie an 8. If not an 8, then I'd be comfortable giving it a 7.5. I will definitely watch it again. I enjoyed it. I think it should be seen in theaters while it's still there. Support Dev Patel, and I hope that he makes more action films, to be honest. Like, I
What else has
really
he done?
can't wait. This is the first thing that he's directed.
Okay.
This is his directorial debut. You can tell that it's his debut because there are some amateur things in the film. You know, you wouldn't necessarily see in a mainstream film directed by someone like Matt Reeves. But for a first outing, man, he fucking killed it. Like, he did a really good job, and I'm, like I said, super excited to see it again.
1 to 10.
If I had to compare it, what would you say?
Rate it. 1 to 10.
Rate it 1 to 10. I gotta go. I gotta go 7.5. I think 7.5 is the best I can do.
Okay. Solid
Um,
7.5.
yeah, 7.5. the other thing I can say is if I had to compare this to another series that it kind of reminds me of, it's like for those of you who watch like martial arts films, if any of you guys have seen the Ambak films, it's like that. It's a lot like Ambak meets John Wick. That's how I would describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's all I can really say without giving spoilers. I definitely don't spoiling this movie because it's pretty new. It's only been out for a few weeks. I really hope that more people go see it. I hope that Dev Patel gets the support that he needs in order to make more films like this because I want more. So yeah, that's it. Aside from that, I know that we will get more into this as the pod goes, but maybe we should just jump right into it. I did start Fallout. The
Okay,
series.
so we starting with Fallout.
Let's do it.
All right, so you've started Fallout. I finished.
I've started Fallout. I
finished it. I was able to finish it, and that's when I started Shogun. After I finished it.
Okay, I think I'm either 3 or 4 episodes in. I can't remember.
Okay. I have notes. Let me make sure they're not spoiler notes for you. I don't think so. I think they're pretty clean.
Okay.
So I guess I can read my notes real quick, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, go for it. Let me hear what you got.
Okay. My notes are short and sweet. I tried to keep them really compact because I knew you were near the beginning, and I don't want to spoil anything and go into any kind of stuff. Fallout. So I love that at the beginning, Lucy picks her attributes. She's like listing all of her attributes, right? Talking about all the stuff she's good at, what she's not good at, what she's done. Pretty much essentially just like a Fallout game. I think that's fantastic. I love that little tidbit to start. It starts on the right foot for me. Makes me happy that they pay attention to that, and they're definitely, going with the game. Lucy, in these early episodes that you watched, she's so innocent and pure and like literally like a baby deer out in the wasteland.
Very much so, yeah.
Walton Goggins.
Yeah, that's right.
Is fantastic.
He is. So just watching the first like 3 or 4 episodes, he's the best part of the show right now.
Okay, I will even tell you my favorite characters coming up. He's fantastic as the ghoul, and yeah, like he's amazing. I love him. He is my favorite character in the show. The ghoul is by far my favorite character. 100%.
That makes sense.
If I had to rate him, I'm trying to think of dude's name. Oh God. I can't think of dude's name, honestly. Anyways, Matthew Berry. Solely because it's Laszlo and it's Matthew Berry. He's up there for me, and that's mainly because I love What We Do in the Shadows so much.
Okay.
So as soon as he appeared, I was like, oh yeah, love him. But I would say the ghoul, and then I'm gonna put Matthew Berry really high because of my my love for that character. And then I would probably go Lucy and then Maximus.
I'm trying to remember. Do I know Maximus yet? Who is he?
Yes. Maximus
Which
was
character?
he's the military guy.
Oh, yeah. Black
Trying
dude?
to be in the Brotherhood.
Yeah, the black dude, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's reasons like I don't know. There's some things.
I gotta tell you this real quick because it's still with the show, and you've already seen all of it. So I wanted to go over this really quick. I think it's the 3rd episode when he's with his I forget the guy's name that he's following in the armor, the suit of armor.
Titus.
From the Brotherhood. Yes, thank you so much. I legitimately thought that was going to be his friend that got her their legs all jacked up in the boot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I legit thought that was going to be the person until they started talking and like cussing a whole lot and being a kind of a jokey character. I was like, oh, okay, it's not that person. But I thought that was going to be a really cool twist to have him serving up under them for what clearly happened. They don't tell us, but they kind of tell us what happened. I thought that's what it was going to be. So to see that they didn't go that route was kind of cool. But did you think that, or did you know going in that it was going to be like a jokey character?
What? Which one? Titus?
The Titus character, yeah.
I mean, Titus. Okay, what's the last thing you saw of Titus?
Titus is no longer with us.
Okay, Titus was a piece of shit. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sugarcoat it. He was actually a douchebag. He was a huge, massive
And the
piece
actor
of shit.
that plays him almost plays a
As
douchebag
soon as
character.
he was like, I want to shoot some shit, and I was like, okay, this dude already sucks. Like, he's gun heavy. Then he gets in there and like you see this cave, and he's like, I'm just gonna walk in there despite the noises. I'm like, oh yeah, you're an idiot. So I knew already, but then once like he gets hurt and he starts, running that mouth, and I was like, yeah, just let him die. He's a piece of shit.
When he took his helmet off and we saw the actor,
I don't know. I need to stew on it more. I do like Maximus as a character. Maximus, I think, is going to grow a lot over the show. I think he's going to grow and develop quite a bit. He has some really funny moments in the show.
He's a very flawed character, I can say.
He tends to stumble into good luck a lot. Like, there's a lot of really bad luck, but there's a lot of, like, incidents and things that happen. You're like, there's no way this man should come out smelling like a rose. Like,
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And you'll see more as it goes along for sure. Past that, note-wise, so Titus deserved him. A piece of shit was actually my next note. 100%. He literally deserved it. Like, that death, I was like, yes, you 100% deserve it. Maximus just wants to be a hero. And this was something Mrs. Sin said too. After everything, he just wants to be a hero. He wants to be a knight. He wants to be that person that, like, when shit hits the fan and, like, a kid steps out, they see the knight standing there, with the sun shining on the armor and all that stuff, and he wants to be the one saving the day. And my last note, because, like I said, I know you're really early into it, but my last note is Maximus's nose loves being punched and busted, because that dude's nose gets busted up so damn much in this show. Like, his nose is always bleeding. But I
mean, yeah, you're right. Actually, you're so right.
Like,
every
dude's nose always has a crack in it.
I didn't even think about that until just now. But you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
But okay, so you're around 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
What would you rate it right now?
I finished episode 3 for sure. Started episode 4. Right now, what I would rate it? I would rate it honestly, I would probably rate the show a 9 right now. Here's the thing. I want to say the whole show right now, I would rate it like an 8. But the first episode was a 9.5 for me. It was so good, dude. That was the first time in a long time, minus Shogun, because I mean I just said that a couple weeks ago about Shogun. But those shows, the first episode, I was immediately hooked. Like, I really liked the twist in the first episode because I saw something like that coming, but I didn't know it was going to be that. Because I just didn't think they were going to go that hard right at the beginning of the show. I was like, okay, we're going to have to wait for a while before they get outside, and it's going to be this and it's going to be that. But no, they got right into the shit. And this is something else I wanted to bring up about Fallout in general. Because, like, I don't want to talk too much about it because I've only seen like three episodes.
Right. I definitely watered down my notes. There's a lot more I want to talk about, but I'm holding off until you've seen stuff because I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely really like it. This is so real quick. Episode 1, the opening of this series, the first episode, is beautiful and sad and fantastic and perfect. Like, I can talk about it all day, but seriously, the opening to this whole show, first maybe 10 minutes of the episode, if it's even that long, was chef's kiss. I loved it. I was so into it that I could have got a whole episode just about those people and everything that happened leading up until Fallout, essentially. And it was great. It was great. I loved it. And I was afraid because I didn't watch any of the trailers of this show going in. I just knew it was coming out. I saw the promotional art for it. I didn't look at anything because I really like Fallout as a game series. I've played a few of them and really enjoyed them. And I just didn't want another video game series to come out to be a TV show and it was ass. Like, I really didn't want that. So I purposely didn't watch anything. I really thought Walter Goggins was only going to be in the first part of the first episode. I'm so glad I was wrong because he is fantastic.
No,
I think this is
he's
his
the best
best
part. He
role.
is the best part of the show for sure. Like
Yeah, I
I'm
think this is his
100%.
best role for sure.
I really enjoy his roles like Righteous Gemstones and Vice Principals and different things he's
Vice
been in.
principals, dude. Yeah.
I really enjoy him, and I think he does a really good job with that morally compromised character. Like you're kind of in the
Mm,
gray, or
mm,
tend to be a little bit bad. I think he does really well with that, and so
mm,
I thoroughly am enjoying him. I will say this though, and I've talked about this week on stream quite a bit, but um, Hollywood needs to pay attention. Hollywood needs to look hard at the success of The Last of Us,
mm,
from game sales to also the show. The show did fantastic, and we raved on the show, through its
mm.
entirety. And we've had a lot of duds when they do video game adaptations. A ton. They've shit the bed on a lot of stuff because they try to Hollywood it, they change stuff. And us as gamers, when you're in love with a game, if you go in there and you start changing stuff, it's going to piss you off, right? And it's going to ruin your experience. Fallout is doing a great service to the game. From everything I've seen, everything I've heard from people, I've talked to different people that are fanatics of it, and they are loving it. They're showing everything from, Pip-Boy to the little bobbleheads to, like I said, the attributes, things about special. Just, I saw, what was it, sugar bombs in an episode, like a box of sugar bombs in the background. Like, just anything that you can think of in the games, they're incorporating, and they're bringing characters in, and it's just, they did a fantastic job. So
I
Hollywood needs to
really
pay
like.
attention to not
Yeah.
changing. If a game is successful and it's a franchise and it's doing well and it's well received, don't change it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And this is
There
proof
are.
right here. So it
Yeah.
also
There.
it got
Yeah.
renewed. I saw today it did get renewed for season 2, which is no shock. Fallout's getting great reviews, but it is definitely greenlit for a season 2.
I can't wait for. Even though I haven't finished season one, I'm excited that it already do because everything you just said, I'm gonna kind of mirror, but say it a little differently. The of an adaptation is good if it makes you nostalgic for the world and you want to be in it again. So like watching the show makes me want to play Fallout 3, makes me want to play
It
Fallout
made
4, makes me want to
everybody.
play New
Fallout
Vegas.
76, I think, set like an all-time hot Steam record or something after
Mm.
that because of the show. Like, people are buying the games, and Bethesda is not stupid. They put Fallout games on sale because they knew the show was popping off, and now more and more people are buying Fallout. So
Yeah.
props to them. That's good job, good
I
marketing.
mean, yeah. I wish Bethesda would stop fucking off and make a new honestly, make a new Mass Effect, make a new Dragon Age, like quit fucking off and give me what I want. Give me what I want. I need those.
Oh my God, this guy.
But we have this and it's really good. The show is really good. It's cast very well. I'm very excited about the show because they didn't cast a whole bunch of like A-list people to be in it for 20 minutes and do all that. They didn't do the typical shit that failed adaptations do. They didn't do that. They didn't go that route. They paid attention. They told a story. Fallout's another really good example of you being able to take that world, to take those games and do your own thing with it. Because every single Fallout game, you're a vault dweller from a different vault, right? There's a billion of these fucking things, and you not a billion, but whatever. You can just use a different vault. Like it doesn't have to be a character that you made in Fallout New Vegas, right? It doesn't have to be that. And that's why this is so cool. When you get to stuff like, for an example, this doesn't exist right now, but like Mass Effect, one of my favorite game series of all time. You can't make a Mass Effect show and it not be Shepard, in my opinion, unless it's leading up to a Shepard or told right after Shepard's adventure. That's the only way you can do that without that character. But then you run the risk of dividing the fans because you have people who want male Shepard, you have people who want female Shepard. I'm a fem Shep person. Like I played male Shepard the entire game, got bored, played the game again with the fem Shep, and like it was just a better choice. It was just the voice acting was better. I just enjoyed it more. Um, but that's the thing though. But with Fallout, you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't. Nobody gives a shit who the main character is as long as they don't suck, right? Even her wimpy ass little brother, I didn't want him to die. You know what I'm saying? Like I've only seen him a couple of times so far because I'm on episode 3. But like I want him to live. I want him to make it to season 2. We'll see what happens. Like I don't know, but you get the dog that everybody
I think
wants
the
in every
story's
single
really good
Fallout
too.
game.
I think they did
What's
a really
that?
good job with the story.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is
I think
good.
you'll
It
agree
is,
once you get through it. I'm definitely curious, like what you think about it once you're done.
yeah,
But yeah,
and
I
I
will
mean
give you my
it's
rating, and this is a fresh rating. Like I said, we finished it last
yeah,
night.
yeah. Let's
Uh,
hear that.
the missus gives it a solid 9.5.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's not really familiar with the Fallout stuff that much. She loved the show. She was super into it. She loved it so much that she downloaded Fallout Shelter and has been playing that on her Switch.
Nice. Well, this is the
I'm
last thing I'll say about it
I'm gonna give it
before.
here's my rating. I'm gonna give it
Go ahead.
at least a 9 right now. I'm still stewing on it. I'm leaning more towards a 9.3, possibly a 9.5. There is one thing once you finish I will talk about that stands out to me that deducts a little bit. It's a small thing. It's a small area, but it was about the only real blemish I had.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to wait until you finished it before we talk about that.
Okay. I just saw that Yobi, our boy, posted in the chat. For those of you who are listening, we do these live, and he was commenting
Live
on
on
something that I just said.
kick.com/IamSinister.
Hey, he just said Amazon rumored about doing a Mass Effect series, and he was saying that if they do that show, then Shepard has to be a cameo, and and it shouldn't be focused on him or her, depending on what version of Shepard they use. And you know what, Yobi, I full ass agree with you 100%. I agree. I take back what I said. It definitely needs to be a cameo and them not be the focus, because if you make Shepard the focus, then you're going to run the risk of making the games the show. But I highly doubt that you can take the games and make that a show. Like I don't think that you can do it. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough money. You don't have the resources to make that believable enough. So I agree with you. Shepard being a cameo character would be amazing. And I remember talking about it on the pod before, but I read the Mass Effect novels. I actually own them. They're on my shelf right over here. But I agree with you. And Shepard wasn't the main character in any of those books. I think only mentioned in maybe one of them. So I agree. And just real quick, I'm gonna grab those while I'm talking to you guys, just because I love these novels. And these novels actually, like in the very first one, the main character is Lieutenant Anderson. Uh, from the if you guys played the games, you know who that is. But like the first game is straight up about Saren, bro. Like it's fantastic. It's called Mass Effect Revelation. It's really good. I know I talked about it before on the pod. And there's a bunch of these books. The next one is called Ascension, and then you have Retribution, and then I think the other one that you got was Deception. But I feel like I read Deception and I hated it. They started making a new person the main character, and I like where it was going. But yeah, man, I agree with you 100%, Yobi, and that just kind of took me on another tangent that I didn't really mean to go on. But I absolutely agree with you on that. You're spot on. You're spot on. And the last thing that I'll say about Fallout before we move on to the very next thing is, even though I haven't finished the show, the atmosphere, the world, the acting, the character choices, it just makes sense. I can't wait to just be in that world more. And somebody that I work with currently who's never played Fallout, she's not a gamer, she doesn't like sci-fi stuff like that at all. That's not her jam. She started watching Fallout with her boyfriend on a whim. She got hooked, made him binge the entire season, and she loved it. She gave it a 9 out of 10 as well.
I mean, it's
So
getting great reviews, and rightfully so. Like I said, it's visuals are fantastic. It definitely captures the wasteland and the fallout and everything. And dude, so you've seen like the fallout, right? The bombs. Yeah, that's in the first episode.
yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved that.
It was beautiful. I almost
thought that
cried
was
when
so
I saw
good.
it. It was
I really
it
dug
was so
that.
good.
All right, but we're running low on time, so we're gonna move on to the other thing we watched this week, and that would be X-Men '97 episode 6. You ready for my very
Did you catch the Did you catch the title of the episode? Because I actually
I
did.
think it's Life and Death Part 2. It's whatever Part 2 is.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Life, Death, Part 2. You're
All right,
correct.
you ready
You're
for
right.
my very detailed, awesome notes that I do every week?
Let's hear them.
Okay. Episode 6. Mystique is in the opening sequence. She may have been before, but I just noticed her this time. Was she in last week?
She was not in the last
She's
one.
in the opening sequence. You see her when they're fighting somebody. She's on the one side. You see her running, which I thought was dope. Professor X is alive and has himself a main squeeze now. That's right. He's buttering those galactic biscuits. That's right. I think it's Ronan. Is that his name?
Yeah, Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan from Guardians. I believe he was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yes, sir.
He makes an appearance, which I thought was pretty dope and ties things. Noticed him right away and thought that was pretty cool. Professor X's lady has helmet-shaped hair, Christian. She takes off her helmet for her hair to be exactly the same, which I was like, well, ain't that some shit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Storm loves Forge now, so apparently she's hot and cold. I don't know what that was about, but last time she was like, no, I'm not your goddess. Now she's like, I love you, and I'm like, what? Okay. She's all over the place. Forge banished Owl Demon. I don't know what the hell that thing's called, but I'm calling it Owl Demon.
Okay.
Charles can't denounce his X-Men and sees Gambit, who turns into a skull in death in the astral plane, which was pretty crazy. Storm gets her powers back and she's also, we found out she's claustrophobic because Owl Demon's messing with her. She's stuck in like a cave and she goes all full Storm. And then pretty much to end, Charles is returning to his X-Men. It's time to come back to him. And he can walk because he's wearing an exoskeleton. There we go. That was my notes. Very detailed.
All right. My notes are much more detailed, and I'm going to try to go over them quickly.
Those are high-quality notes.
Questions.
I want you to know that, chat. Like that, listeners, those are very detailed notes, and you should appreciate them for what they are.
You should. We don't deserve your notes.
I know, right?
I agree.
They're just a gift. It's a gift and a curse.
All right, I'm gonna just jump right into it. I didn't note every single thing because I would just be repeating each other. And also, I watched this yesterday and was writing as I was watching, so I did miss a couple things. Excuse me. But the first note that I have, Nightcrawler gets intro credits. I loved seeing Nightcrawler in there.
Oh, now we like Nightcrawler. Last week we were shitting on Nightcrawler. Now we like Nightcrawler.
I didn't shit on Nightcrawler. I just said he's not my.
You said Nightcrawler's ass.
Oh my god. So he gets intro credits. I like Nightcrawler. He's just not my favorite. I think that for casual fans of X-Men, Nightcrawler is one of the most overhyped characters. He's still cool. He's just not my favorite, y'all. He's just not my favorite character. However, if I were making a team of people, I would probably put him on the team because he can get us where we need to go in an instant. So there's that. But anyway, moving on. I also noticed that you had Nimrod, who, for those of you who are initiated, you know, Sin might not be initiated. Nimrod is a f***ing problem. Nimrod is a problem. That's a villain that you don't want to fight. But Nimrod was coming out of the chest of Master Mold in the intro credits, and if we remember the comic book stories and mostly just comic book stories, Nimrod plus Master Mold equals Bastion. For those of you who don't know who Bastion is, he's strong as piss. He's a problem. He's like a human sentinel hybrid evil son of a bitch. Like it doesn't matter. Bastion is a problem. He's probably going to show up because there's no reason for them to show us Nimrod and Master at the same time if we're not going to see them at some point. I saw that you had Storm, Bishop, and Wolverine in a scene in the intro credits, but it was their Age of Apocalypse timeline versions of themselves. And in the Age of Apocalypse, Storm and Wolverine were actually dating. They were a couple. So I thought that was cool. Then we see Professor X and Lilandra, which is the woman that you mentioned earlier. She's very bird-like, if you will, because the Shi'ar Empire, very bird-like society of people. If you notice, they refer to each other when they're young as hatchlings and shit. It's all bird-esque. It's weird. But the episode begins with the Shi'ar Empire versus the Kree. For those of you who watch Captain Marvel Marvels, you know who the Kree is. Ronan the Accuser shows up. He's looking for supreme intelligence, and then fucking Deathbird shows up. When Deathbird shows up, they give her a really cool entrance, and she just makes Ronan look like a bitch. So I thought that was cool. Moving on, we see the Imperial Guard, and I thought that was just cool to see. We saw them in the original 90s animated series, but it's good to see them again. But you see Gladiator, you see
Gladiator's no
Flashfire.
joke. Gladiator was pretty strong.
Yeah. Gladiator is practically Superman.
Yeah,
Him and Superman
I got
have
that vibe.
almost the same powers.
Superman with a mohawk.
Essentially. He's practically Superman. However, Gladiator's power comes from his confidence level. So if he's feeling himself,
that is not what I thought you were about to say.
I know. His power level is tied to his confidence.
Literally, you said his power level comes from his and I was like, whoa, okay. Oh, Marvel, what are we doing?
Marvel, what are we doing? But yeah, if he's not confident, then he gets weaker and defeated pretty easily. But yeah, anyway, moving forward, we got Flashfire, Manta, Starbolt, Smasher, Titan, which is the giant person you saw, and then the two little mini robot dudes called Warstar, and then you saw Vulcan. Vulcan is the third Summers brother. He's Cyclops' brother. Cyclops doesn't know who he is currently. Vulcan is also a fucking problem. Vulcan is an Omega level mutant. And let me just tell you about him real quick. He eventually becomes the emperor of the Shi'ar Empire in the comics because he takes over the throne and shit. But he has energy manipulation powers, just like it's kind of like Cyclops and his brother Havoc. However, he can absorb any form of energy and manipulate any form of energy. Doesn't matter what kind of energy it is. He can manipulate it, control it, do whatever he wants with it, amplify it. Like he's almost unstoppable when he's pissed off. Like you can't. He's so strong. It's ridiculous. It's just like Marvel was like, hey, we have a lot of really strong characters in the X-Men. Why don't we just make another one who's stronger than all? Let's just do that and make him an asshole too. That's essentially Vulcan. Vulcan and Cyclops and Havoc all have the same parents. When Vulcan's mom was pregnant, she got kidnapped and then killed. They took Vulcan out of his fetus out of her body. They put him in this tank, aged him up, and then they aged him up to like a teenager, I believe. And then once he got a little older, his powers started surfacing. And I think they put him in prison until his adulthood. Then he linked up with Deathbird, who he becomes romantically involved with. It's so much going on. I'm trying to remember because I'm just remembering comic book knowledge right now. Deathbird kind of twists his mind a little bit. Professor X does some fuck shit in the comics, and he sends Vulcan on a mission with the very first X-Men team. Scott was a part of it. Vulcan was a part of it, and I forget the other people that were. That mission failed. Everybody died except for Scott, Vulcan, and one other character. And Scott kind of went fucking apeshit crazy because everybody died and he couldn't handle it. Professor X literally wiped his mind of the mission and all his memories of his brother. That's why he doesn't know who he is.
I just had to look up Vulcan because I wasn't sure who he was. He was with the group that come in.
Yeah,
right?
He was with that group that came in, and he was just like,
I see who
he didn't talk.
Now.
Yeah, he didn't talk.
So is that all of Cyclops' siblings? Havoc and Vulcan?
Yeah.
So two brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Is Cyclops the oldest?
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. Vulcan is the youngest.
Okay.
So that's how that goes.
So we've seen both siblings now.
We've seen
Havoc
both
was
siblings.
at
Yes,
Genosha, and Vulcan's with that group in space.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
Gotcha.
The Imperial Guard is what they're called.
Imperial Guard.
So anyway, moving on. I'm just gonna keep going just because. One last thing about Vulcan. Because he can manipulate any form of energy, exotic energy from other dimensions, all of that. That just means that the energy from Cyclops' optic blast is an exotic energy because it's from a different dimension. He can control that. So when Scott tries to shoot him with his Octave Blast, he can just literally bend it around himself and then make it shoot Scott and hurt him. So Scott can't touch him. Literally can't touch him. It's insane. But moving on to back to the episode because I'm done nerding out now. Lalandra sends a galaxy-wide Zoom call essentially to let everybody know that her and Professor X are getting married. You see, Professor X can walk because he's in that power suit, that exoskeleton that you mentioned earlier. They also quickly dropped that it's been a year since he left Earth. So all of this takes place, this entire season takes place a year after Professor X apparently died in the end of the last X-Men series. So now we know the timeline for that. It's been a year. What else? He tries to get her to agree to go to Earth to pretty much says no. She wants him to stay with her to support her and to keep the council happy because of the council turned the throne because she's empress and all that stuff. They mentioned the Phoenix a lot in this. Also, they don't really mention it much in this episode, but Lalandra is also a telepath. So both of them are telepathic. Just I know they don't say it, but they both are telepaths. I know the story jumps between his story and Storm's story a lot. So going to Storm's story, the owl demon that you mentioned, it's called the Adversary. So she's dealing with the Adversary, yeah.
Okay.
So she's dealing with the Adversary. The Adversary is essentially a dark mirror of Storm, at least in the show. It manifests as an owl demon, but if you notice when the Adversary talks, it's just Storm's voice again with like an effect on it. She's trying to treat Forge's wound, and she calls it a demonic bite. So I thought that was interesting because the Adversary is essentially a demon. We already knew the Storm was claustrophobic if you watch the 90s animated show or the comics, but they go back to saying that again because the Adversary in Storm buries her alive, and because it knows that she's claustrophobic, but also
your mic's starting to cut out.
Kind of cool. Of course it is. Brand new mic cutting out anyway. Lighten up. That sucks. Dang. Every time I get excited about something, it's just like the universe is like, no.
What are you doing?
Shut up.
You're just, I don't know what you're doing. You're always breaking something.
I'm always breaking something. It's insane. But to continue that, Forge uses desert magic is what he says. I don't know what that was. I don't remember that being in the comics, so that's new to me. He uses desert magic to help Storm kind of escape the Adversary. And then we go back to Professor X and the council. One of the council members is like actively trying to talk Lilandra out of marrying him because he's a human. They call him a Terran, is what it is. Deathbird makes a play for the throne. Tells Professor X that he has to erase all his knowledge of Earth and the X-Men if he wants to stay and marry her sister. Gladiator tries to help him by giving him some knowledge about their gods, to which Professor X says that Gladiator reminds him of Magnus. For those of you who remember, Magnus is Magnus. I thought that was cool. A brawl happens, and Gladiator just straight punches the I don't know if you remember that part, but he just punched her and knocked her clean out.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
Knocked the shit out.
I literally was laughing when that shit. What else? Professor X remembers his abilities because he hasn't been using them like over a year at this point. So he pretty much takes everybody to school in the astro plane. I thought that shit was awesome. I'm kind of moving along because I know we're running low on time, but he has a vision while he's doing this. He kind of tells the Shi'ar about themselves and how they act towards other planets and other civilizations and how they could be, which is the same lesson that he was trying to teach mutants on Earth. X-Men, the Brotherhood, all of them. So it starts to work, and then he gets this crazy psychic vision of everyone dying. He sees Gambit turning into the skeleton, like you said. He senses the Genosha attack, is what that is, obviously. So he knows exactly what's going on back at home. And he has to return. He's like, marriage be damned, this relationship. If it's got to end so I can go home and save my people, fuck it. I'm not gonna let them die in vain. I'm not gonna. So he's gonna go back. I thought that was really cool to see. And also, like, as soon as he starts, really risen up everybody on the Shi'ar Empire, he's got to go back home. So there's that. But back to Storm, she needs medicine from a cactus plant, I think is what it was, to
Yeah.
heal. Yeah, okay. I didn't write it down and I don't remember. But she starts to realize, thanks to the adversary constantly talking her, that her powers aren't gone. She's just not using them to their fullest ability. It's like a mental block, essentially. So somehow she manifests new clothes and a new hairstyle.
Yeah, she looked awesome.
But she did look awesome. It is her famous black outfit from the comics. One of my favorites, by the way. It's like classic 90s Storm with the white outfit, this black one, and then the mohawk. Those are my favorite Storm outfits. She has so many. Those are, in my opinion, the best ones. So she gets her powers back. She looks cool as fuck. She starts flying around. Her hair's. She goes back to Heel Forge, and like you said, they're a whole item now. But I knew that was coming because that was her first relationship. And then literally right when good and talking about it, she sees about the Genosha attack on the. So all of her fun is gone. The same thing happened.
You're cutting
Both
out bad
stories.
now. It's like big chunks.
I guess I just gotta like
Stay on your
be
mic.
happy about what I'm talking about. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so Genosha, she saw it on, and then you just
Yeah,
there's like a whole section cut out.
No problem. I got you. So she sees on the news what happened to Genosha. I really liked that they. I want my sub back. I just saw that. Jordan, you can't have it. But anyway,
Those listening
I
on Kick, Christian got a new, or listening for the weekly episode, Christian got a new microphone for this week, and looks like the same thing's happening. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what I'm doing either, but I want my money back.
Christian, I want you to put that whole microphone in your mouth. That's what you need to do. See if you put the whole thing in your mouth.
Listen, don't tempt me. I'll do it.
Okay.
I don't know how loud I am right now, but I feel like you can hear.
You just cut out
literally everything.
Cut out a little bit.
I cut out again.
Just for like a.
I probably cut out. Probably cut out that time because I was hitting the mic. But going back to the episode, both people, Storm and Professor X, saw what's happening with Genosha, so they're clearly coming back. Excuse me, I'm voice cracked a little bit. They're clearly coming back, so it's going to be a reunion. I'm super excited for that. And at the very end of the episode, we see Trask running for his life from Mr. Sinister, which I thought was really cool. He also dropped some knowledge that he gave Mr. Sinister his DNA so they could access Master Mold. And then that lets us know as the viewer that Sinister is at least partly, if not fully, responsible for the attack on. So all of this shit is about to come right back to Sinister because he's manipulating people behind the scenes. And then he says Genosha was merely the beginning of a prologue now past, which is a clever little wink to Days of Future Past, which is essentially what Sinister is trying to do. And if that's the case, that means that he's already working. Apocalypse is about to come back. Sinister is clearly coming back. Nimrod is going to happen. And if Nimrod happens, that means we're this close to getting Bastion. There's a lot of pain coming from mutants in the future of X-Men 97, and I can't wait. I'm totally here for it. This episode for me was a 7.5 out of 10. It was more like pontificating and setting things up for the next couple of episodes to even out the season. But those are my notes, my thoughts I kind of gave while I was talking about it, but I'm excited to see.
My notes were better.
Where this goes.
They were more detailed.
Your notes are better, of course.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so we were running low on time, so we're gonna shimmy along to the next topic, and that was we decided to do a little short list, and I'm glad we shortened it because we were definitely running short on time, like usual. We're very good at running over, But Christian decided that we should, if you were, say you were a brand new person to horror, you're like, you know what, I would like to get into horror. And you come to us and you're like, give me 3 movies to watch that will help me get into horror to introduce me to the genre.
Mm-hmm.
At least this is how I took the question. What would those 3 movies be?
I have my
Is
3
that,
movies.
is that essentially what you wanted?
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. I have 3 movies, but
can I tell you my train of thought for this? I don't know how your mind worked. So if someone come to me and you're like, hey, introduce me to horror, I would essentially try to break it down a little bit for you. Like, I would try to give you maybe a little of each genre to kind of like get your feet wet. I don't think if they're new, they're not going to appreciate some of the other ones as much, not starting off. Like, after you got and get your feet wet and you kind of get a better feeling for it, then you might appreciate them more. But that's kind of how I went about my 3. So, how do we want to do this?
Sorry, I'm laughing at chat right now. Why are you holding the mic like that? Because it's breaking up and I need to hold it that. Let's just do our entire list. I technically cheated and I have 2 lists.
Oh my God, this man cheated. Fine then, I'm keeping my honorable mentions. If you're gonna cheat, I'm keeping my honorable mentions.
You go ahead and give me
yours.
No,
go with your list. Since you want to cheat and do things your own way, go ahead.
Okay, I did have a similar mindset to you.
Okay.
I'm
curious how many. I feel like we'll have at least one the same, but I don't know that we'll have the others. I'm curious to see where you go.
So my original list is exactly what I just said, with different genres of. My first list that I scratched out, you can see my terrible notes. I said Nightmare on Elm Street, Silence of the Lambs, and The Sixth Sense. The reason I said those is because with Nightmare on Elm Street, you get, you get one of the most popular 80s horror icons of all time. So you kind of know, and it's the first, so you know what you're getting into for like slashers. Yeah. The reason why I said Silence of the Lambs is because it is very subtle in its horror. But if you've never watched horror at all, it's a really easy one to get into because the story is really well written. It's a longer movie, but the story, like I said, carries you through, and the acting is so good that it's easy to follow. And then The Sixth Sense, because even though it's not like the scariest movie ever, the first scene of that movie is really terrifying. There's some really scary imagery, especially because it follows a child for the most of the movie, and you get that twist at the end. If you've never seen, you probably missed out on that one as well. And then you see where a lot of those references come from other movies. I thought about it longer, and I changed my list. So the list that I'm actually going, number 1, same train of thought, slashers. King of all slashers, in my opinion, Halloween.
Okay.
Got to be on the list. 1978 Halloween, of course. Okay. Next one on the list, I wanted to get people into something that wasn't necessarily that scary, but still in the genre. On Jordan Peele, Get Out. That's the next one I chose. And then number 3, I wanted to get you into sci-fi horror, a monster flick, because we don't have any of those. And I was thinking, what's a good monster flick to start with, especially if you're brand new to horror? And I thought if you hadn't seen this movie, it'd either scare the shit out of you or be really, really fucking interesting. And for that movie, I chose the original Alien.
Okay. First off, I'd like to say you're an asshole.
Why is that?
Okay, because you should have stuck with your first list so we could be a little different. But first movie, first and foremost, obviously, I'm going to say one of my favorite movies of all time. If you're getting into horror for the first time, there's nothing better than Halloween. Halloween, you're going to get a little bit of boobies. But other than that, there is next to no blood in the whole movie. It is more built on suspense, on the music, on all of that with Michael. And I think that is a great one to start someone new on. Because you're not getting that overly, like, hey, we're just relying on gore kind of thing. So Halloween would be one of my first ones to give them. The second one, since now that we've got you dipped your toe in the water just a little bit, why not let's go a little more possession. Let's scare the piss out of you, and let's give them what everyone wants to compare everything to. Why not try to scare them all the way with Exorcist? Give them the original Exorcist, and let's see how they do with that. Obviously, it's from the 70s now. So right, 70s. No, 80s. 80s. Exorcist.
I believe that's actually the 70s.
Okay. So it's older. It's dated a bit. So it's not gonna terrify them too much. It's still gonna be very creepy. And someone new to horror, it's definitely gonna mess with them, right? Possession's
That's
gonna get
70, 73, actually.
73. Okay. My third one was Alien because I thought you needed a creature feature sci-fi, and this one was tough with me because, like you, I was trying to separate. Obviously, I could have said Michael, Jason, Freddy. There you go. There's your three. Go watch them. But I didn't want to stick in just slashers. Obviously, Halloween is going to be my go-to for that. If you enjoy Halloween, you enjoy slashers, then I can give you more from there. Exorcist is going to give you that more supernatural possession. If you enjoy that, you can go from there. Alien was my creature feature sci-fi horror movie. But since Christian said that, I had other ones that I was struggling mightily with. So I'm going to use those. I'm also going to give you those, Christian, and you're going to deal with it. My other one that was almost on the list, The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I feel like that would be a great one. Again, another like creature feature sci-fi that people could get your feet wet. Jeepers Creepers, as Mrs. Cinda said in chat, was another one I really thought of. That's a solid one to kind of get people going. But a couple others would be Dawn of the Dead to get the zombie, like get used to the zombie, the apocalypse, that kind of thing. But a better zombie movie, which don't get me wrong, I love Dawn of the Dead and the older zombie movies. Train to Busan, I feel like will be a better movie to get people in. It has a good story, good looking zombies. Just all in all, I think it sets up well, and I feel like that would be a good one, for getting people in. But my final one was Jaws. If they're brand new to horror, I would assume most everyone's seen Jaws. But if they haven't, for some reason they've only watched Disney forever, I would give Jaws a suggestion to kind of get their feet wet and as another creature feature style movie. So those are mine that I had.
Okay. I think that, so I did see as well that Jeepers Creepers, and though that one did cross my mind, the reason why I didn't add that one to the list as a creature feature is because Jeepers Creepers is
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, Jeepers Creepers is a really good mainstream creature feature that is pretty scary, especially for somebody who hasn't seen it. However, I didn't want to go with that one as my creature feature because if you're getting into the thing, then you want to start with some of the not necessarily classics, but something that really made other people want to make creature features like that. And that's also the reason why I didn't choose The Thing, because The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. But I didn't choose that because, for an example, my wife watched The Thing with me, but I don't think showing her The Thing first before all this other stuff was going to bode well just because of what happens in that film. It's scary, yes. It gets you really in your feelings because you can't trust anybody. You don't know who's the thing. You don't know who got turned first, and unless you analyze the movie like I do. But like the dogs, right? Think about somebody who has just been watching Disney stuff their whole life. You give them all this happening with the dogs and what happens to them, like they're probably out as soon as that scene is over. So I wanted to ease them in. So I figured Halloween is a slasher, but it's not terrifying to the point to where you don't want to you can ease into that. Get Out is very mainstream, but it's like one of the better examples of how
I avoided
mainstream
like
should
new
be.
horror because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to go like a little more older stuff.
Right. But you want to start back from there because it gives people a frame of reference because all these other.
Because I would like to throw Trick or Treat or something in there, but I don't think somebody new would appreciate Trick or Treat for what it is.
Especially with it being an anthology.
That's what I'm saying. Like the first time my wife watched it, she was like, "This is stupid," but now it's one of her favorites. Like now she understands and she appreciates it. Or like a Cabin in the Woods or something like that. I don't feel like people would fully appreciate them. And Exorcist, I mean, if you watch Exorcist and you dig it, then you're going to be all about some possession. And essentially that's like, is that not the measuring stick for how scary a movie is? Everybody's always like, it's worse than The Exorcist, which The Exorcist isn't, I'm desensitized. It's not scary to me, but that's why I was doing that. Like I went a possession one, so.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I mean,
I
you could always
didn't.
say Poltergeist too. I
Yeah.
guess that could be one.
Poltergeist would be, I think, an easier sell because
Yeah,
it's shorter and it's, you know, it it's just a little, it's a little more digestible, especially for somebody who's seen anything else from Spielberg. But yeah, anyway, I think that we both have good lists. They're practically the exact
Alien was
same.
mine though, because I feel like Alien was a solid. But no, Christian had to ruin everything. And you could say Alien or Aliens too. In fact, you could throw either, but you would have to if they're new, you need to see Alien first.
There are a lot of people in the world that saw Aliens first. I think that's only because those are people who it was easier for them to get sold on the fact that it was more of an action film than a horror film.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that went. But yeah, that's our list. Thank you guys for listening to us
All
talk.
right,
This,
we'll
that
do.
shit's
We'll try
great.
to do some more. That was a good short one, and I'm glad we shortened it because originally it was going to be 10. It was going to be 10, and we didn't have time because we rambled about too much other stuff. Christian got mad about all kinds of things. So, with that being said, I'm taking Christian's line. It is time that we
pass the whiskey.
That's right. Get your
Whiskey.
as we go into our last call question coming from the one and only Kick Chat. That's right. You can come over here, hang out with us, and watch these episodes filmed live over at kick.com/IamSinister every Thursday night. But this week, we're going to go ahead and answer the first one we see, and that would be who would win a fight between Zombie Jason or Victor Crowley? I mean, that one's easy. I would say Jason, 100%. Because Crowley could come over with all of his nonsense, but as soon as Jason hits him, Crowley's going to start whining and crying and fussing and just suck at life. That's my only knock on those movies. That drives me absolutely nuts.
I mean, I mirror that. I think that if we were gonna put it in terms that younger people could understand, Jason crawled so that Victor could walk, but at the same time, Jason's just better
Yeah.
in everything that he does. I think Victor Crowley is more brutal in what he does, but brutal isn't always better. Jason's just a smooth criminal, man. Like he's gonna get in there and get up in Crowley's ass real quick, and I think it's over after that.
Okay.
I think it's over. Yeah, 100% Jason. There's no question. Especially zombie Jason. If we're talking about Jason from Part 7 when he was fighting Carrie, essentially, dude, Jason's got in the bag.
Okay. All right. No more
100%.
Do we have any other questions before we end our last call? It's your last call.
I see that somebody said that for their intro to horror movie, they would have gone Alien versus Predator, Jason, and The Nun. And I just wanted to say, why Alien versus Predator? Because if you haven't watched anything horror, the aliens are the xenomorphs, and you also don't know who the Predator is.
The Nun's
You
going to
said
scare the piss
Jason?
out of somebody just coming in.
You said Jason. So
Which,
I'm assuming you mean Friday the 13th, but which Jason? And then also the Nun is the Nun would scare the shit out of somebody who's new to horror.
I
It's
can't say
not a
anything.
good
I was making
movie.
somebody watch Exorcist, but I guess I'm an asshole. Here, you want to watch horror? Here, watch Exorcist.
I see the next question here. I'm gonna go ahead and read that off. Michael could hold his own versus Jason.
Okay, Christian's mic cut out, so it said, do you think Michael could hold his own versus Jason? Short answer, yes. Michael is the embodiment of evil, essentially, if we've learned anything from the lovely cinematic adventure that was Halloween Ends.
God.
And we have triggered Christian. Here we go.
Oh,
Yes,
my
Michael
God.
could hold his own. Michael would definitely hold his own. Thing is, Michael would hold his own because Jason probably wouldn't know Michael's coming. Michael would sneak up on him. Do I think Michael would win the fight? Which Jason are we getting and which Michael are we getting? That's going to be the big thing because Jason is essentially unstoppable.
Jason would just put Michael in a wood chipper and then
You broke up. Wood chipper
grinder.
and what?
I said Jason would just put Michael in a wood chipper or a meat grinder. He could literally just get the neighborhood to beat the dog shit out of Michael, and we're done. Because evil dies tonight.
Oh my
In case you didn't
God.
know.
Okay, we're scrapping. Not from that. We're taking it back to Dude, I'm not doing zombie. If you did this, I think Michael would get some hits in. He would stab him, but I don't think he could kill Jason because if it's zombie Jason, if it's not zombie Jason, it would be a closer fight. If it's zombie Jason, I don't think it's going to be fair if it's just plain regular Michael. Before we get into like Druid and all that stuff. Oh my God. Someone in chat just said Chucky's messing them all up. Oh my God. This is where it spirals. Last call is spiraling.
Oh my God.
I think from a brute strength standpoint, I don't feel like any of them are probably touching Jason. Dude is essentially a monster. Like, he's just huge. He's a zombie.
Hoss.
There's not a lot you can do with him. But Michael's going to be more stealthy because, I mean, Michael kind of in the shadows, walks around, no noise. That would be the quietest battle ever, though.
I'll tell you what I would like to see.
Neither one of them's going to make a noise. They're just going to be stabbing each other. You're just going to see him in the woods just like.
I would love to see Michael stalking Jason because I think Michael's like one of the only people that could actually do it.
Yeah.
However,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's
yeah.
If they were just, if you put him in a ring or an octagon, I don't think it's going to be a fair fight, depending on the version of Michael and what you believe for Michael. You know, like.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's they're in the woods or they're in a house or something, Jason or Michael's going to stalk the shit out of him. Maybe we'll get something like that. Obviously, we're not going to get that fight, but maybe we'll get something like watching one of them stalk from In a Violent Nature. I'm so excited for that.
That'd be cool.
Someone argued that human Jason's not winning, but zombie Jason is bodying Michael. Again, it depends on how far down the rabbit hole you go with Michael. If you pull Halloween Ends, dude, he's probably getting beat by anybody. He's getting beat by your great grandma sitting in a wheelchair, based on that. And Corey's gonna come out breathing all heavy and get his ass kicked too.
Oh my God.
Corey beats everybody. That's the end of that conversation. You know who wins this war? Who beats all of them? David Gordon Green, because he shit on everything. He wins it all. He took down Halloween and The Exorcist. End of story.
I think my answer is just Evil Dies Tonight.
It's God. I swear. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of Sippin With Sin. Now that we've spiraled out of control because Evil dies tonight. And, God. Thank you so much for listening. If you made it this far, we appreciate it. New episodes come out every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple, and all the audio platforms. You can also find the video version that we record here live over on kick.com. You can find it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/IamSinister. Go subscribe to it. Show us proof. Tag us in it. Show us that you subscribed. We would appreciate it. We're pushing over there. So go do it. 8 a.m. every Wednesday, Central Time. Check them out. Rate it 5 stars. Share it with a friend. Thumbs up. Follow. Subscribe. Whatever. All that. Do it. You can, my words got tangled there. But, yeah, we record these episodes live every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time over at kick.com/IamSinister. And you can find me streaming at the same place Monday through Friday. I do live vocal performances as well as this podcast, and we game as well, too. Kick.com/IamSinister. Come hang out. Say, hi, I listen to the podcast. How are you? And I would love to talk to you and hear your thoughts on it. You can find us on social media at Sippin With Sin, SIPPIM with Sin. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, all that good stuff. Go say hello. We're there posting stuff. We're going to get more content going on those very soon. We've been slacking. I blame Christian. It's all his fault. Just look at him. If you were watching the video, you can see it. You see the guilt in his face right now. But you can find me, IamSinister TV, on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. And then, of course, streaming over here, kick.com/IamSinister. And you can also find me on Twitch, which I haven't been streaming on, but twitch.tv/IamSinister. That's the social medias. And, yeah, thank you all so much. And that's where you can find me. Come say hello. Christian, where can the lovely folks find you?
You guys can find me on my Instagram at VinNE. You guys can also find me on Twitter at HorrorversePod. That is also all one word. No, I haven't been posting episodes for that pod. We'll get back on it eventually. And the last place you guys can find me is on the TikTok. That is my full name, Christian Vincent. Those are the only places you guys can find me because, contrary to popular belief, I don't like social media all that much.
There we go. Hopefully Christian's mic didn't sound too bad. Let us know in the comments if it did. We'd love to hear because Christian's over here breaking shit. But thank you guys for listening to another episode. This was episode 94. We'll see you guys next week. You don't have to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. Remember, go check out the YouTube, youtube.com/IamSinister. And until then, Christian, shut it down.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Sipping With Sin. Be sure to 5-star review.
He's talking. He completely cut out.
Did I really cut out just then?
You cut out the whole time. You said, thank you so much, and then just all went to hell.
I don't know.
In the comments, let us know about Christian's mic. I want to hear all the comments about Christian's mic.
I do. I want to hear. I want
people to tell me that Christian should shove that mic in his mouth all the way and see how far he can get it.
Hello? Can you guys hear my
are you turning it down? What are you doing?
Literally not pressing any buttons. Just holding it.
Christian, get your life right.
I can't. My life's over.
All right, shut it down, Christian. What's wrong with you?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Sipping. You should leave a 5-star review. Do enough. Before you leave, I'm going to leave you with 3 words. 3 words to leave you with on every podcast. If you've been here before, you know the words. Say them with me. If you haven't been here, listen to your life. Those words are as follows. Don't get gutted.
See you guys next week.